Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I am making homemade cinnamon rolls from scratch. It's an old-fashioned Amish recipe and it's absolutely delicious. And the best part about this recipe is it only requires one rise. It makes the process half the amount of time. They still taste just as good, and I promise you it's way easier than you think it is. So come on, let me show you. Right here is the recipe. You can see what you need for the dough, the filling, and the frosting. I'll go slow in case you want to screenshot this. But this, of course, will all be in the description below. The ingredients for our dough are going to be milk, yeast, egg, sugar, butter, flour, and salt. The filling is just going to be butter, cinnamon, and brown sugar. And then the icing, or the frosting, if you call it that, is going to be butter, confectionery sugar, vanilla, and a little bit of milk. One explanation here is that I'm using a packet of yeast, but if you're using out of a jar of yeast, you just need 2 1/4 teaspoons. All right, first step is to make the dough, and to do that, you have to have warm milk to kind of wake up and make the yeast come alive, basically is how my grandma used to describe it. So to warm the milk, the quick way that I do it is the 3/4 cups. It just takes 40 seconds in the microwave to get it warm. You want it to be the warmth of like bath water. You want the milk to be warm, not hot. Now that our milk is warm, we're going to add the first 5 ingredients into a bowl and mix it up. Now I'm going to slowly add in my flour and salt and mix this together until it forms a dough ball. All right, we got it all mixed together, and you can see that the dough is a little bit sticky and it's sticking to my hands. That means that it is too moist. So we need to add a little bit of flour to it. I add flour at about a tablespoon at a time, and then you just slowly add it to it until you get a nice, beautiful dough ball that isn't sticky. I added about 2 more tablespoons, and now it's perfect. See how it's not sticking to my hands at all? So now we're gonna knead this for about 5 minutes. Just lightly flour your surface. Grab your dough ball, and if you've never kneaded dough before, all you do is push with your palm and then pretty much pull it back. And you just keep working that dough over and over and over again. Now, I'm doing this by hand. If I'm ever making a double or a triple batch for a bunch of people, I will do this in my stand mixer. If I'm just making one batch for us, I like to do it by hand because I don't know, I just really like this process. And if all the flour gets absorbed, just put a little bit down. And to be honest with you, if I'm in a rush, I've only needed this stuff for a minute before, and I promise you it still turns out fine. There it is. Look at that beautiful ball of dough, and it's nice and bouncy, meaning when I poke it with my hand, it comes back up. Perfect. Now we're gonna take that ball of dough and just let it rest in a bowl right here for about 10 minutes while we get our filling together. And all we're gonna do is mix our cinnamon and brown sugar together, because once we roll this out, sorry my kids, once we roll this out, we'll spread the butter on top and then sprinkle the cinnamon sugar. So don't mix all 3 together, just mix the brown sugar and the cinnamon. And there it is, perfect brown sugar and cinnamon. Okay, so now normally your recipe would have you do what's called a double rise. So you would actually take this dough, set it in a bowl, cover with a cloth, and let it rise until it has doubled in size, usually for 1 to 2 hours. But we are skipping that step because we're gonna do the second rise only, which you'll see here in a minute. I promise you I've done it both ways and it honestly does not make the difference, so save yourself the 1 to 2 hours of extra time. We're just gonna set it out and we're gonna roll it out into a rectangle. You're gonna try to get it into roughly 14 by 8 inches. Okay, there it is. Now we're just gonna spread the butter out on top and then sprinkle our cinnamon sugar mixture on top and then roll it up. And then we're gonna cut them into 1-inch thick pieces and place in our baking dish. Now for a sidebar note, these are always best if cooked in a cast iron skillet. I have a really big one that I usually put these in because it usually makes 12 really big ones or 18 to 24 smaller ones. But I'm taking this to work and this is way easier to transfer than a 10-pound cast iron skillet. Look at that. Let's roll it up and cut it up. And there they are. Now, this is where we are going to do our one and only rise. We are going to let this rise until it doubles in size. That is going to take 1 to 2 hours depending on the temperature outside and in your house, humidity levels, all the things. But if you want to speed that up, all you do is you turn your oven on to bake to like 350, whatever. Let it turn on and heat up for like 5 minutes. I turn mine off once it says it's 120 degrees in there. And then if you put these cinnamon rolls in a lightly warm oven, it makes it go a lot faster. You can get them to double in size in less than an hour. And always cover them with a clean towel while they rise. All right, let's check back on them in a little bit. Okay, so I failed and I forgot to take a video or pictures of the cinnamon rolls, what they looked like when they were doubled in size, but they doubled in size and they've been baking. They've got just a few more minutes left, so let me go ahead and show them to you. You can see that. I'm just waiting for them to get a little more golden brown on top, and then they're done. And they're done. They turned out great, so now I'm gonna whip together icing. Now, for reference, my husband and I do not like cream cheese icing, so this is more of a buttercream icing. If you want a cream cheese icing, just substitute half of the butter for cream cheese, which I'm going to do in this video because I'm making this for someone else. And most people do like the cream cheese icing, but we normally do not use that. I think the buttercream on this is just to die for. But anyway, there's our recipe. Let's mix it up and spread it on while these puppies are still hot so it ends up perfectly melted and delicious. And there they are, finished with the icing. They're fluffy and soft and flavorful and buttery and sweet and just everything perfect. That icing is so creamy. We've had a lot of cinnamon rolls, and I'm telling you, these are by far the best. You don't need any other recipe. This is the perfect recipe. They're just so perfect every single time, and quite honestly, they're pretty hard to mess up. Now, normally if I'm making a cooking video or recipe video, I would take some out and show what it looks like on a serving plate, and I would eat it and explain to you what it tastes like. But because these are for a work function, I'm obviously not going to be eating any of them, but I can assure you they are absolutely delicious.
And for the record, it's also way cheaper than the store-bought stuff. For an 8-pack of cinnamon rolls from Walmart, it's $3.24, and I can make 24 rolls, which is 2 dozen, for less than $2. Plus, the homemade is way better for you because it's made with basic ingredients, unlike the store-bought kind that's full of chemicals, preservatives, and junk.
Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Otherwise, enjoy your homemade cinnamon rolls. Happy homesteading!